Good morning, class, and or good afternoon, students, and you're welcome to this session. I'm to take you through EEP Module 1 in Course 2, titled Concept of Business and New Value Creation. As you are aware, last semester we discussed the previous in Course 1, which introduces you to the concept of entrepreneurship. And a lot of discussions on last semester and how to identify an idea, how to register the intellectual property right, how to explore technology in entrepreneurship. Discuss business environment in Nigeria, which has to do with political, economic, and socio-cultural factors. And then we discuss Module 7, which has to do with women entrepreneurship, and we talked about social entrepreneurship, and this semester, particularly in Course 2, the focus is on how do you now capitalize or exploit all those discussions had in the Course 1, with the belief that some of you already have an ideas on how to start their businesses. So this semester's Module 2 is going to capitalize on how can you convert those ideas into business, any value creation. You can see my name is Muazu Hassan Muazu, Dangote Business School. Yes. So I'm to take you through this Module 1 in Course 2. So we start with business and venture. A lot of people are interchanging those words, business or venture. So going through this module, you understand the difference between the two. So a business is any activity that involves exchange of goods or services for money with the aim of making profit. Any activity. I wouldn't want to say any activity because now we have illegal activities like kidnapping, like banditry, robbery, and the rest of them. So in the concept of this class, we talk about legal business. So we're talking about legal activity that would add value to the society, not that the one that would cause damage to the society for making money. So in a nutshell, all those illegal businesses, we discourage it in this class. Yes. So a business, as I said, is any activity that involves exchange of goods or services for money with the aim of making profit between two or more individuals. While a venture is any activity that offers benefit, product or service to people either for profit or not. So venture could be school, hospitals, NGOs, clubs and associations, government agencies and parastatals. All this could fall under venture. So in a nutshell, we're saying the difference between the two is venture could involve business, while business is basically for making profit. But venture could fall as NGOs, could be a business as well. So venture could be a holistic name, for any activity that involves offering benefit to people either for profit or for not for profit. Yes. From the picture, you're going to see two ways, and majority of people choose the path of employees, meaning that the normal thinking of every student is to graduate and have a job. While you can see one person is taking the path of entrepreneurship. He chooses to be an entrepreneur with his red necktie. So the title is said, the future path. Where do you follow? So it's your choice. You might choose to be an entrepreneur or you might choose to be an employee. So the normal thing is to be employed. And that is why it's a normal convention. You're going to see a lot of people queuing towards the employees, while it's only one person who chooses to be an entrepreneur, meaning that he chooses to take the risk, bearing all gains and pains, but he chooses to be on his own. So a lot of people start business or start business or an enterprise, we call it, with different motives. So we're going to consider these motives and see how, and why maybe you must fall among all those few ones that could drive you to starting your business. So number one, we say joblessness. A lot of people start business because they lack of job, or because they don't have anything to lean on, and therefore it means they start business as means of survival by force, meaning that what really forced them to do that because they are not employed. So this type of people, should they find any job, they might quit the business. That's the danger part of it. Number two is financial ambition. A lot of people venture into businesses because they're looking for money and they want to be rich. So it's not a crime to start business because you want to make money. And that is why our argument is those who want to really make money, they shouldn't go for that picture where people follow employees, because your salary is already conditioned and you cannot spend beyond your earnings as an employee. But in a business, people can make money. In a day, you can make your monthly salary. So people start businesses because of financial ambition. The third one is desire to control the economy. People go into business with the desire that I want to create jobs, I want to create products or produce that people would like to consume, meaning that the country cannot do without me. So this type of people, they venture into highly capital intensive businesses where it requires a lot of money, and it requires they create a lot of job, they produce a lot of products or offer a lot of services to people, and with the desire of controlling the economy. Most of these people, you can see they are rich people on the initial, maybe they are high-ranking politicians who made a lot of money in the government, and now they desire to venture into business. There are a lot of examples, but I wouldn't want to mention names. Yes. So the next one is the desire to pursue a business idea. For example, now you as a student, you have your own personal idea that you've been nursing over the years, maybe at the exception of the EEP, when you started entering an EEP class, and then you realize that you have a new idea and you feel, okay, this idea, I will pursue it to the end. It means you start the business simply because of the idea. So again, some people they venture into business because of advantages of market opportunities. Yes, majority of people go into business because they realize there's a market opportunity. What do I mean by that is, in your locality, there might be a need for a particular product, or there might be a need for a particular service. Let's assume you're living in a local area, and you realize in that locality, nobody's offering, pharmaceutical drugs. Nobody operates a pharmaceutical chemist where you sell drugs or you take injections. So this is a market opportunity that you feel, okay, since there's no scarcity of this, then let me go into business. And then a lot of people venture into business because of this opportunity, market opportunity. Again, the next one is inherited family business. Of course, there are businesses, there are families we've seen in Kano here, we've seen across the country, Lagos and Abeokuta, Onitsha, Parakot, in Newi and Aba. You're going to see a lot of family that are operating a business for 50, 60 years. So this type of family, if you belong to this family, you want to continue with the business. Especially when the owner, or if he happens to be your father or your uncle, and then you want to continue from where he stopped after his death. So a lot of people will continue venture into business because it's an inherited family business. For example, a goldsmith, a blacksmith, all this type of trade, a lot of people follow suit because their parents initiated the business, and now their children want to continue with the business. You can remember in first one we discussed family business. So the desire to be your own boss. A lot of people who start business because they want to be their own boss. Maybe, or perhaps they were employed before, and now they They experience difficulty under their boss, query every day, troubles all the time, asking a lot of questions. Where have you been? Why are you late? Why are you leaving early? All those type of questions, giving them targets. Some people might decide or resign from where they are working and start their business because they want to be the boss. They want to be the ones asking people questions. It's a valid reason to start your own business because you can only get this in your business. The very first day you start, you are the boss. Not like in an employed, salaried job where you have to elevate to the ranks before you become the boss. Maybe it will take you 15, 20 years, yes. So the next one is frustration with low pay or salary. A lot of people start business because they want to create surplus. And what is that surplus? Is to earn extra money for extra needs. The needs of humans are insatiable. And now you have 2 children. The next 2 years you have 3 children. If you are lucky, you have 4 children courtesy of twins. So how can you cater for them? These people would be the same salary. It's not possible. So people go into business because they realize that the salary they are earning is very low, and therefore they have to create surplus. So lack of growth opportunity in your place of work is another factor that is pushing people to start their own business. It's a pushing factor, really pushing factor. So lack of growth in the opportunity in your place of work. For example, you are working, you are a lecturer, for example, or you are a teacher somewhere else. Lecturers' salary is in this country, Nigeria, for example, is not good, and therefore and promotion is not frequent. That you have to wait 3 years if you are in the civil service, or in the academics you have to wait 3 years before you be promoted. So and sometimes you lose this promotion because of so many factors, either interest of the boss, or so many factors could cause this lack of growth opportunity. So when you look at it, and growth is very broad, meaning you cannot go for training or seminars, which will add some points to your requirement for when it comes to appraisal. You can decide to go for your own business. So sometimes some people can invite you to begin someone else's business. Of course, you are a graduate of Bayero University, for example, or in any university in Nigeria, who has the skills to manage business. For example, somebody could call you and say, okay, you've studied this entrepreneurship EEP course. I feel you have the little knowledge to manage my business. Come, I have the capital. I've opened a business. Now I had a bigger opportunity, which it avail me to operate the business. It means, can you come and help me run the business? Yes, people can start business because somebody invited them to begin their own business. So exposure to some available fund or program, for example, you win. For example, this NILSA microfinance bank loans that they're giving people who into agribusiness and other services, up to 10 million naira, 7 million naira, payable in 7 years. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and a lot of people are starting business because of this available fund. You win. You used to be free grant, where if you scale through to final, and you be granted up to 10 million naira free, even though it's paid installmental, but then it's after every progressive stage, then the still amount will be released to you. So this type of available phone, really attract. This time it's not a push factor because it's negative. It's not negative. It's supposed to. It's attraction. So it attracts people to start business. I've seen a lot of people trying. They will never operate any business, but because they say UN is out there, or CBN is giving COVID-19 intervention and whatnot, people start business. So life after retirement is another factor. A lot of parents experience this. When you retire, it is that at the time you realize that this cash flow, this money that comes every month is not normal like before. Even your pension, even though now we are operating in a contributory pension system where you contribute some percent and the organization do the same, it's not enough. For example, somebody who is earning, say, 150,000 naira when he retired, he barely gets 50,000 per month. So how could 50,000 cater for all these needs that even the 150 was not enough? So this is a problem, and therefore people after retirement, most people look at starting a business as the only way out. Unfortunately, most of them venture into businesses they do not have experience, and at the tail end, the little money they gather from their gratuity, they invested into the business, all of it into the business, and the business collapse. So when the business collapse, and that will be the beginning of high blood pressure, and a lot of sickness will come, diabetes and heart attack. So if they are not lucky, eventual death. So it's better to start planning for your retirement immediately when you're employed. So it's very dangerous to wait until you retire. At that time, the risk is higher because you don't have experience. So it's advisable for you to start early before the time of retirement. Prepare to retire before you get tired. And this is the advice said by some people. So life after retirement is really very, very troubling, and therefore a lot of people get into depression because of retirement. You see people retiring, they are crying, they don't have homes where they could move on. They are living in quarters, they'll be evicted and be looking for squatter settlement, which is really, 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 really bad. And then they will have to look for means of survival. So people go into business because of life after retirement. So sometimes people go into businesses giving back to society, meaning that perhaps they've enjoyed some goodies from the society, or even if they don't enjoy, they still want to give back to the society. They open company simply to create employment, simply to create means of livelihood for people in the society. So this type of people, they are well-to-do individuals who start their own businesses in order to give back. Not really necessarily well-to-do, but if you might decide to start and create a business with the intention of creating jobs. So people giving back to society is an attractive factor that attract people to start business. So sometimes favorable government policy like free company registration, free land for you to cultivate or for agricultural activity, and the rest of it could attract people. Free tax, low tax, government waivers, and the rest of them. A lot of people go into business because of favorable government policies. So the second part of this module has to do with the feasibility. Now we understood reasons why people go into business, and we're assuming you choose to go into the business. How do you start? You don't just go into any business without knowing the terrain of that business. So knowing the environment, knowing the obtainable factors in the business is very important, and we call this feasibility analysis or studies. So it is the discovery, assessment, measurement, calculation, and evaluation of business ideas, workability, viability, and profitability. So for every business is out there to make, for every business is to make profit. So for you to make profit, you have to understand the environment. You have to know what type of customers you have in the market, who is providing similar product or similar service. You have to know whether your idea is going to work or not. You have to know the viability, what benefit will it bring to you, and what value are you offering to the society. So all this fall under feasibility study or feasibility analysis. It simply means trying to understand the factors surrounding the type of business. What do you need to know? The competitors, how many competitors? If you know the competitors, what services, or what is the nature of their services? How do they charge prices? How do they find the location they are using? What procedure do they follow? You need to know what the government policy is saying about the business. You need to know what cost of production, what machinery do you need to put into that operations. So this are what we call feasibility studies. So again, it analyzes challenges of startups, market, competition, technicality, conformity with the law, and pricing and financials. So it analyzes the challenges of startups, market, competition. Technicality means the little knowledge and how to produce what you want to produce. Conformity with the law, is it legal, is it illegal? Pricing, how do you charge pricing? What type of model will fit the market? Financial, how would you, where would you get the fund, and how much money would you require to start the business? This is what we call feasibility studies or feasibility analysis. It's very important in business. So once you do this, you are on your way to starting a good business, because it allows you to know how do you start, and even the name or the type of product or service you're willing to offer. Will the people buy it, or they don't want to buy it? You understand the culture of the people, you understand the buying, purchasing power of the people, and whatnot. Yes. And then the feasibility considerations that are what we call feasibility consideration. I've said them in the earlier slide, but then the first one is economic feasibility. This includes cost and benefit analysis of the business or the idea you want to take to the market. Is it a product or is it a process? Economic feasibility, it involves how much money will it require. And then again, it involves the capability of the customers. Would they have the resources to pay the money? Would they be able to afford the price you're offering them? This is very important. And this will tell you whether, if you're producing something, say product A, 100 naira, whether if you offer it 120, people can buy, and the cost of production is say 100 naira, and when you sell it 120, whether there's gain or no gain, and this economic feasibility. So again, we call is the feasibility that is broken into pieces now. So the legal feasibility, which has to do with the legality of the business registration, business location. What is the law saying about the product or business? For example, in Kano, pork business is illegal in Kano. And there are many legal issues related to business in Nigeria. And therefore, it's very, very important for somebody who wants to venture into a new company or industry, or existing company or industry, to understand this legal feasibility, which is very important. What about operational feasibility? It talks about the compliance with the business necessity. What do we mean by business compliance with business necessity? It has to do with the operationality of the company, of the business. How can you produce? Where would you locate? How much price would you charge? How do you, the packaging? How do you do all this, necessary requirement of operating a successful business? This falls under operational feasibility. What about schedule feasibility? Schedule feasibility is considering the take-up of the company, the available skills. Do you have the knowledge of the business? Do you have the skills? Do you have the people that can help you champion the cause of taking up this business or not? Do you have the necessary requirement? And this is schedule feasibility. What is the minimum equipment or tools do you need to start? So this is very important to know. What about resource feasibility? Well, resource feasibility talked about the availability, time, interference with other operations. So it talks about availability and interference with other operations. So production, if they are producing, or how could they influence other sector, other department or unit of the operations? How would you allow each to operate independently, even though they are not independent, but then you do not. So financial feasibility is very important. What is the financial structure of the proposed business? You need to know. Is it how is it? Are you going to use 50% personal savings and 50% borrowed money from bank, or are you going to public for public IPO, public offering? So all this, it gives you the structure of how the business financial. Then the structure of typical feasibility analysis. The first one starts with the proposing the entrepreneur's profile. Proposing entrepreneur's profile, you have to introduce yourself at the beginning. Your profile, who are you? What is your name? Where do where not necessarily mention name. I mean, what's your experience? Which sector did you operate before? And what benefit are you bringing on the table to operate this business? So the next one is, which business name are you proposing Where are you proposing the locations and headquarters and branches? Business history, why are you doing it before, or you're just starting for the first time? What is the business objectives? What is the required technical skills you mentioned? What is the proposed capitalization? Capitalization has to do with the initial capital. How can you fund the company? How can you operate the business? Where would you source for initial capital? Like I said in the previous slide, proposed capitalization has to do with the money. For example, if you want to start a company that requires 10 million naira, and now you're putting your personal money, say 5 million, and the remaining 5 million naira you are borrowing from banks, or you are borrowing from family and friends. That is the capitalization. And then sources of fund at the start. So sources of fund has to do with the capitalization has to do with the amount, how much money would you require, while the sources of fund talks about the sources, if from friends, personal savings, bank loan, grant from government, or public offering. And then the production and operational requirement, you have to state them clearly. And then the market potential and assessment and strategy. Market potential, assessment, and strategy. What is the market potential? Are there a few people producing, or there are many customers, competitors who deal in the same business or product or service? So you need to know. And then what strategy, how could you tackle, or how could you defeat them in the marketplace? You have to state it. And then the next one is financial assessment and projection. It has to do with the profit and sales. So this thing is very important. It's the lifeline. It's one of the lifeline of business. How much do you project that you could sell in a year? And then how much is your cost when you compare the cost and sales, and then you know the difference is the profit. Sometimes it's loss, but we're not praying for loss, but sometimes it happens in business. You have to put it at the back of your mind that it do happen. Yes. So the next one is growth and the break-even period. So the growth and the break-even period, you need to understand for how long would you recoup all your investment, and what is the likelihood of the growth pace. Are you going 10% every year? Are you going 20% every year? By which month will you recoup all your investment, or by which year would you recoup all your investment? You have to project. Yeah. So reinvestment policy and risk analysis, you have to know whether all your profit you retain them or you reinvest some of them. And then risk analysis, are you a risk averse? How would you do the risk analysis? What type of venture or sector would you want to go in, and why would you go to, considering the type of risk in that sector? So conclusion and recommendation. This is the typical structure of feasibility analysis. When you read the model, you're going to see a lot of it. Yes. So reason for feasibility: one, people go into feasibility, one, to appraise the business marketplace. You need to know what type of market you're going into. Yes. The second one is to assess the experience of the management team. You want to assess the type of people who will operate the business. And then the next one is to identify the challenges faced by startup and how to overcome them. Of course, we're trying to identify why some businesses are failing in the sector and that you are about to venture into. And then that will help you to prepare very well how to overcome these challenges. So feasibility studies is done to consider the financial feasibility and the expected returns. For profitability, whether the business is scalable, is feasible, is profitable or not. It will help you to know. To help you also to decide whether to continue or proceed to plan the business or abandon it. So at this juncture, you'll be able to know whether the business is profitable or not, or if it's worthy of continuation, then you can continue to proceed to develop a particular business plan. So feasibility is an input to business plan. It prepares you, to give you insight on how to prepare your business plan. So business plan is basically about a strategy. How do you take your product to the market? How do you sell it? Who are your customers? How do you produce? Where would you locate? All these are strategy, while the feasibility is helping you to unravel or discover those steps to take in order to win in the marketplace. So luck is not a strategy. So if you are waiting for luck to happen, luck will not always come in your way. Of course, we are humans and we are religious people. We believe that God changes things. Then you have to pray, but you have to work hard. So when you work hard, then you put prayer, and then you wait for the luck. So sometimes you don't just relax and you don't do anything and you think things will favor you. It's not always in the case. It could favor others. So luck is going round. It could fall on somebody's head. So don't rely on only luck. Do something and pray for luck, and then you combine the two, and then you. So business planning. So the next thing after feasibility is a business plan. We say a business plan is a map, a blueprint, a guide. It is a strategy, way, manner, or on how to implement the findings of a feasibility study. So like we said, the process of business planning is the research, sector, industry, customers, competitor, costs involved, etc. Strategize then the current practice, build a new selling propositions, calculate financials. It has to do with finance. Then draft a sketch, then revision and proofreading to finalize the business plan. So planning. So these are some of it. Executive summary. This is the structure of a business plan. Executive summary, nature of a business, marketing strategy, financial requirement, source, potentials, entrepreneur and business, and then forecast, profit, management, team, etc. So business description. The executive summary is the last thing to do, but it's the first thing that appears on the business plan, because some of those financial institutions or some of the financiers or angel investors wouldn't have the time to go deep into the business plan. So it is expected at the executive summary you put everything: the nature of the business, the marketing strategy, the financial requirement, plus the source who will provide the fund, and then the potential of the business, then forecast, profit, and management. So somebody who read the summary, it will give an insight whether to go further in or not. So some banks don't even go open the second page. Immediately after the executive summary, they will know whether this business could make it or not. Yes. So make sure you summarize every content of the business plan into the executive summary. So executive summary is the last thing to do, but is the first thing to appear on a business plan. The next one is business description. Details, nature of the product, service, plan to offer to the market. It gives the details of the value proposition you take into the market. Then the business environment analysis. What is the tactics, business name, what is the market, the pricing, the sales projection, and budgets. So the next one is market analysis. Market analysis has to do with the competitors, analyzing the competitors, trying to project who the competitors are, who are your customers, and who are your suppliers, in case you're producing something. And then of course you have to buy raw material from somebody. Then the marketing plan, marketing strategy, tools, and people. Who are your people? Who are the marketers? And what strategy would you use to penetrate the market? In Kano, we've seen pop cola that just came barely some few months ago, and now it's everywhere. So we want to assume that their marketers really worked. So the marketing strategy really worked, and that's why the information is everywhere, and that is why every angle you're going to see pop cola. Sorry, I mentioned name, but then it's important for you to remember. So it took a marketing plan. So tools, people, who will involve, who would do? Are you taking it out? Are you giving consultants, or are you doing it yourself? Who are those people that would do it? You have to explain. So operations and plan. What, when, where, how, and who. So operation plans involve what are you going to do after what. And then when would you do what? How long will it take to produce what? Where would you locate the business? How and who will do the operations? It's very important. So management and organization is very important. Who are the managers? What is their requirement, educational requirement, and what is the structure? Is it a president that will lead, or chief executive, or MD, or any of them? So you choose structure. What about financial plan? How much would you need? Where would you get the money? For what would you use the money for? And you give a cash flow statement that will show the liquidity and of the company over time. So legal issues, at startup. So business name, address, and entity is very important. Trademark and location is very important in business. When you're starting a business, you have to be considerate of this factor, the legal issues. where would you locate the business, and which name, which logo, which slogan would you use for the business? All these things are very important. So choice of industry and type of business is very important. Either you go as sole proprietor, partnership, joint venture, limited liability company, or public liability company. So limited liability company, sole proprietor, you can choose to put your name and operate the business in your way. Only you employ others. While partnership, you two heads, you and your friends or your classmates could put head together and put resources to venture into a business. While joint venture could be more than just two, it could be up to 20 people. It's a joint venture. What limited company could be more than that. So and or public liability, you offer publicly, you offer public shares, people will subscribe or buy your shares to start the business. So government regulations about the particular business, you need to understand whether it's legal, the type of business you're going into or not. When you realize it's illegal, then don't venture, because it's about to fail. You are starting at a failure, because definitely government institutions will chase you and they will knock you down and close. So the relationship between feasibility and business plan, well, like I said, feasibility shows the workability and potentials of a business, usually done before investing into any business. What about business? So business plan is done often when feasibility reports show prospects in the proposed venture. Feasibility studies, feasibility involves a lot of calculations, analysis, and projected focus, all aim at investing, determining business viability and challenges. While a business plan consists of mostly strategies for developing the business and how to overcome the identified challenges. So it means business plan is a strategy document that will show how to do the discovery in the feasibility. And sometimes the output of the feasibility will determine whether to continue to develop a business plan or to forget about the business, because the feasibility shows the findings from the result or conducted in the industry. So, in conclusion, as humans, we consciously or unconsciously plan for every undertaking, be it studies, work, politics, marriage, businesses. You cannot just start traveling or you start applying to universities without planning. How do you plan? You conduct research, you check the JAM brochure, you check which type of courses they're offering, what is the requirement, what would you need to do, what is the JAM requirement to pass, what is the combination of courses to undertake in the JAM and the post UTME. All these are feasibility. So you are planning in order to know whether you can apply Bayero University or you choose ABU Zaria, for example, or you choose any other university in the country. So it is important to note that when you want to succeed in any human endeavor, planning becomes an essential ingredient, of course. So that's the same. I'm ending this session with saying that, so failing to plan is planning to fail. Thank you for listening, and see you other time. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you for listening. Yeah, you have a pleasant time.